first of all, we're going to start with UiPath Studio 2019.10. We're going to talk a bit about the features that, the important features that were launched this year, which means we're going to include some of the features that were launched in 2019.4, as well as the new features launched in 2019.10. We're going to do that because these were the two major releases that we had this year. And also some of the features that were launched in the initial major release, 2019.4, received a couple of enhancements, let's say, in 2019.10. So we want to make sure that everyone is aware of those. The way we're going to structure this presentation, we're going to group everything into the major release teams for our products that our product managers focused on. So for Studio, we have these two versions with the release teams that you see right now on the screen. So we're going to take all the release teams one by one. We're going to talk about the features that are included in the release team. And for those features that we consider to be hero features or features that are we consider to be very important for our users, for our developers, we'll dive into some live action, let's say, in UiPath Studio, mostly to show you where these features are in Studio, how you can use them, and so on. So let's not waste any more time and start with the first release team for UiPath Studio, which is collaboration. This, of course, refers to our idea about working in teams and how we are trying to facilitate this for our developers with the new features. So first of all, we have some very nice additions on the source control side, which is, of course, our GIT integration, which was actually quite requested in previous years. So the GIT integration was launched in 2019.4, but recently in 2019.10, it got some enhancements which are going to have a look in Studio as well. So we now have a very nice status bar for our Git projects. We have a branch control and a lot of other cool things. On top of that, we have the Workflow Diff, the way to be able to see the changes made in a project file without going to third parties. We've also removed the source control prompt that you got before when you try to check out the file. So let's focus a bit on some of the features, like the Git integration. So like I said, we have added the Git as a source control provider. So you are able to do a lot of things directly from Studio with your projects, with the team that you're working on, with the target for this being, of course, our RPA developers. The Workflow Diff was launched just to have a compare mechanisms between workflows, two workflows, or see the differences between workflow versions, just to make the code review process very easy and to be able to do everything from Studio. So there's no need for external comparison solutions. So for these two, for this release team, we're also going to do some things in Studio. So let's check out a bit our Git integration. So this is the new 2019.10 Studio. We have our team tab here where you can see the Git integration and you can use it. I'm already connected with my project to a Git repository. So some of the things that you can do now in Studio when you're working with your theme and you are using Git as a source control provider within UiPath Studio, You have your status bar here, so you can see the repository that you're working on. You can see the branches. You can manage the branches as well. So I can create a new branch and switch to that branch, and then merge to the master one. I can see the changes that are still pending. So I haven't committed these changes yet. I can see all of them. I can see the XAML file that that corresponds to each change. I have one unpushed commit that I can see on the status bar as well. Also, if I go to the project tab, and right-click my root, I have all the actions here within Studio. So I can commit all the changes. I can push, pull, manage the branches from here. I can show the history of my project. Going to the source control part, the checkout. Let's open one of the XAML files that I have in this project. So let's say I want to change something here. I want to maybe add a variable. So I've added a variable, and once I save it, this automatically checks out this file. So no need to right-click and check out the file when you want to do some changes with that, which I know was a bit tedious for our users to do. I can also right-click here and show changes to use the Workflow Diff. So basically here I can see versions between differences between the versions of this file. So I've created here a new variable. I have some modified properties as well. You can see the added changes, any deleted files, and also any modifications. You can navigate through them, and so on and so forth. So in terms of the Git integration, I think right now it's much easier to use Git as a source control provider. It's right here in the team menu within Studio, along with the other two source control mechanisms that we have, which is TFS and SVN. Now we have given our users the power to use Git as a source control provider, which I know is, if not the most used source control mechanism, probably one of the most used. Let's go back to the presentation and move on to the next release team, which is package management. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the features that you see here. So now with this release team, we have tried to put more sense, let's say, into the way we manage the packages inside Studio and the options that we give to our users for package management. Within this team, we include things like being able to create a link within Studio to go directly to the marketplace, to UiPath Go. We have added a mass upgrade tool within Studio. So if you are trying to update your dependencies, your versions, let's say your Excel activities or any activity that you use inside your project, you don't have to go to each of the files within the project and update the version there. You have your mass upgrade tool that you can use. We've added license agreement to our packages for legal and also compliance issues. Package signing is also something that you can use in order to make your packages more secure. And also with the semantic versioning, I think UiPath, the releases of UiPath are much easier to understand for our users, with the first numbers being the number of the major release, then we have the minor release, and then the patches. We're gonna dive into the full dependency trees, because this is something quite major that we've changed this year, in the sense of how packages and dependencies are managed. Before this update, you would have the packages managed globally. And now they're at a project level, so it's much easier to use the packages and to see all your dependencies that your project uses. These are now displayed recursively. So for major packages, you can see even the minor code repositories that and versions that your packages use. These are available very simple in UiPath Studio. So situations that I think everyone faced, where you would open a project maybe created by someone else and you get some errors because some dependencies were not resolved and you didn't know exactly what dependencies are not working, and maybe you had, I know that I had some issues with specific code repositories that some packages required some versions and some required other version of that repository, and you didn't know exactly which one required which version. All of these things are not very easy to check, and we're gonna again jump out in Studio. And as you can see, this is something that we've added since 2019.4. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have already seen this and have already used it. So for each of my my dependencies, I can drop down and see everything recursively. So my Excel activities have these dependencies and so on and so forth. So if I have any issues with one of the dependencies, it's very easy for me to see it because it will be marked as red here. I can go and see, if I hover on it, what was the requested from my project, the requested version, and the one that was able to be identified from any feeds that I have in the package manager. I can upgrade from the manager very easy to new versions, whether they're standard stable versions or alpha or beta versions as well. So let's move on to the next theme. And again, any questions, drop them in the Q&A tab. My colleague Mihai is trying to answer as many as he can in the Q&A panel. We're gonna take some of them live at the end of the webinar as well.